Hi, folks. Welcome to Poor Uncle Joe's Sunday afternoon story. Now, I started telling these stories about 2.5 months ago, right around the time the coronavirus started to hit us. And I did it for a couple of reasons, but the number one reason was because I knew we were going to be stuck in our houses, and I know how lousy cabin fever feels. I get it every year. And this is like an extended cabin fever for all of us, especially in this area. We just went through the winter where we were stuck inside most of the time, and now we're stuck inside more because of this virus. So I was hoping that this gave everybody a little something to look forward to on Sunday afternoon, maybe to get a little laugh or to break the monotony of being indoors anyhow. And so now the virus is starting to wind down a little bit. Things are opening up. I hope I can get a haircut pretty soon. I know the golf courses are going to open this week. That's a big plus for me and my fellow golfers. And so since people are going to be getting out more, I don't know how much longer I should keep telling these stories. I think my audience will be outdoors from now on, and so this may be the last one, maybe one more, I don't know. But I would be remiss if I told all these stories without telling one about one of my best friends. His name is Bruce. We were in the military together 50 years ago, more than 50 actually. And Bruce was a real character. I met him in basic training. And when I left basic training, I thought, well, I'll probably never see that guy again. And I got to tech school. And about 2 weeks later, I hear a familiar voice and I look around and there's Bruce again. So we went through tech school together. And then I got shipped overseas to Spain. And 2 weeks later, there was that familiar voice again. Doesn't Bruce get sent to the exact same base in Spain? So we spent the next 2 years knocking around Spain together, having a good time. He's a great guy. The kind of a guy that, when you read obituaries, they always say, oh, he was a wonderful guy. He'd do anything for anybody. Bruce would. Bruce would give you the last dollar he had if he saw that you needed it, even if you were a stranger. I mean, that's how generous he was. But Bruce, he was kind of a character when I knew him that long ago. And we're still friends. He has a place on a little island in Lake Erie, and I go to visit him every summer. So it's nice to have a friend like that. But I need to tell you at least one story about Bruce, and there are a lot of them. I could have filled up these past 12 weeks just telling you stories about Bruce. But one of my favorites is a story. Now, Bruce was a 19-year-old young man when we were in Spain. And we used to go to the bars together a lot. And this story occurred not long after we got to Spain. Neither one of us spoke Spanish very well, just a few words. And by the time we left a couple years later, we were both pretty fluent in it, but at the beginning we weren't. And Bruce bought a car, a little old car. And we'd run back and forth from the base to town in that car. The base was almost an hour from town, so it was quite a ride. Well, one night we were downtown and Bruce starts talking to this young Spanish girl. Bruce liked the ladies. And he talked to her for a while, and then she said she needed to go home. Well, it was around midnight, maybe a little bit after. And Bruce said, well, how about if I give you a ride home? Like I said, he was very generous. And the girl said, okay. So the three of us got in Bruce's car, Bruce at the driver's wheel and the girl in the other front seat, and I was in the back. And he said to her, where do you live? And she said, Cordoba. Well, we were in Sevilla. It's about 130 miles from Sevilla to Cordoba. So Bruce turned around, he looked at me, he said, Joe. He said, she lives in Cordoba. I said, Bruce, we can't take her to Cordoba. I said, we have roll call tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I said, I don't know if we can make it to Cordoba and back in time. It's a long way. He said, well, I told her I'd take her, and I'm a man of my word. I offered her, so I have to take her. I said, Bruce, it's so far. He said, no, I told her I'd take her. So away we went. We left the city limits and we were headed out into the country. And Bruce looks in the rearview mirror at me and he says, Joe, He said, I think she's starting to cry. I said, cry? What would she be crying about? We're taking her all the way to Cordoba. He said, I don't know. Well, the farther we went, the louder she cried. Pardon me. And pretty soon, she was getting frantic. She started to scream. And again, Bruce and I didn't speak very much Spanish. We didn't know what she was screaming about. So finally, Bruce pulls the car over and he says to me, I don't know what's going on. He says, she's crying her head off up here, and we're willing to take her all the way to Cordoba. So between the two of us, we finally got her calmed down, and we used what little Spanish we knew, and we finally figured out what she was saying was she didn't want to go to Cordoba. She lived on Cordoba Street in Sevilla. So I guess she thought we were taking her out in the country or something. I don't know what she had in mind or what she thought we had in mind, but anyhow, we turned around and got her stopped crying, and we headed back to Sevilla and finally took her home to Cordoba Street. And of course, we made it back to the base in time. But that's the kind of thing that always happened to Bruce. Just unusual things, just because he was such a generous guy. Well, that's my story for today, folks. Again, I hope this isn't my last one, but, well, you never know. And if it is my last one, I hope you liked the 13 or 14 stories I've told you. I hope you enjoyed them. And thanks for tuning in. Goodbye now.